What is up, guys? Eric here with TeamEccentrick, and I'm bringing you guys the first deck profile I've done in almost a year. I'd say maybe about 8 or 9 months. The reason why I haven't posted anything on the channel in quite some time is just because, life, kind of carries you away from things that you enjoy. And also, I have another thing that I enjoy just slightly more, which is, as I'm sure everyone knows, is skateboarding. And I just kind of had to take a step back from Yu-Gi-Oh! And kind of put it on the back burner so that I could focus on my actual passion, which is, in fact, my skateboarding. And, that has definitely seen the fruits of my labor in the sense that, like, a lot of my tricks are a lot more consistent, etc., etc. I don't want to digress too much, but aside from that, I haven't posted on the channel in quite some time, as I just said. I just feel as if the perfect deck profile to kind of get back into posting is water. I mean, everybody knows that I play water. I played Boojins, I played pendulums, I played Odd Eyes pendulums back when the structure deck first came out. And then I switched immediately over to water as soon as Neptibus came out in Breakers of Shadow, and then that was just my deck. And, the content took on a life of its own, if you will. And now I am, in fact, a water player. So, I decided to bring you guys my updated Mermail deck. It's not so much that I haven't been playing Yu-Gi-Oh, by the way. I have been playing, just not filming or not really taking it too seriously. That's something that, I have a habit of doing is I'll get into Yu-Gi-Oh over the course of the winter, and then I'll just take it so seriously, and it'll be like my #1 thing over the course of the winter. And then once once the warm season happens again, then I want to go out and skate, and, then I feel as if I'm leaving my Yu-Gi-Oh friends behind. But I figure the best way to mitigate that situation is to simply play Yu-Gi-Oh simply for the enjoyment of it, solely for the enjoyment. So instead of going to competitive events all the time and being under pressure to build meta decks or at least compete against meta decks, I'm just gonna have fun. Build decks that I personally enjoy, build decks that I personally want to play. Not take the game so seriously. And so that's that. But as I'm sure you guys know, Water has seen a few different iterations over the course of the last few months since Eternity Code came out. There's the hand loop versions, there's the setup board negate versions, there's all sorts of different things that you can do with Water now. And not only that, but with Diva being at 3 as well, allows the deck to really function at the highest capacity I feel that it possibly can, which is really nice because before the deck really couldn't compete as well. I mean, you could if you had a good day, you could go in and probably wreck some people at locals, but other than that, you weren't going to do as well. But now with cards like Deepsea Minstrel, Deepsea Aria, and things of that nature, the deck just is really good. I mean, it's no meta contender, but it certainly can hold its own. So we're going to get in the deck profile, and I will show you guys exactly what I'm playing. By the way, notice I'm not playing the Duelist Saga Ultra Rares anymore. I'm playing the OTS Supers, which are really nice. I like these a lot better than the Duelist Saga Ultras. Not that the Duelist Sagas are necessarily ugly per se, but I just feel that the Supers look so much better. So we're going to get into it, and we're obviously starting off with the triple Deepsea Diva. This is one of the best starter cards, but at the same time, it's also one of the worst starter cards because Impermanence, Veiler, Ash, those are cards, and this card is easily susceptible to those. However, if you draw Minstrel and your Dragoons, that's immediately right into this, so that's certainly a thing. It also obviously gives you, access to your Halqifibrax and, obviously your the heart and soul of your deck, which is Neptibus. And there is a 1-card combo with Deepsea Diva that does waste the Dragoons generally if you try to keep the combo as strictly, resource intensive as possible, but it's still a really strong combo nonetheless. So the next card is actually probably the best card to come out of the Deepsea archetype. besides the spell card, which is Deepsea Minstrel. This card is a pseudo Called by the Grave. You draw this into Dragoons and you have combo, unless your opponent has like multiple hand traps, and even then, you know, you're looking so you can gauge which hand trap would affect your, you know, your line of play the worst, and just take that one out and then play around the ones that you see that you can't get. So what's cool about this card is, if you draw this in Dragoons, you ditch this and Dragoons, and they ditch for cost, so that's obviously nice. And then you look at your opponent's hand and banish a card from it, and then the Dragoons, or whatever Atlantean you're trying to trigger, would trigger after this chain resolves. So that allows you to get around things like, you know, Droll, Ash, Veiler, Imperm, Nibiru, etc., etc., which is really, really nice. Not only that, it is a tuner, so you can special summon it off of Hulk, although I don't necessarily recommend that, but there are combos in the hand loop version that I was testing a while ago that actually did do, you know, did need this to be summoned off of Hulk instead of Fishborg Launcher, but I feel like Fishborg Launcher obviously has more value. So that's it for the Deepsea stuff. Now we're getting into the heart and soul of the deck, which is obviously the Atlanteans. So we have triple Neptibus, good old Aquaman. Can't ever go wrong with it. You obviously need to play 3. You're playing it wrong if you're not playing 3, obviously. I mean, it is literally the heart and soul of the deck in tandem with Atlantean Dragoons. This card is amazing. You don't play any less than 3 Dragoons, and if you do, you're an idiot. That just is what it is. After that, I do play 2 Heavy Infantry. I feel like Heavy Infantry still has value in the sense that it clears cards, as well as if you draw Heavy Infantry and a Neptibus, and that's the only line of play you have, you can still do the same combo as you would with 1 Diva. It's still the same essential idea, but instead of having the Diva, you would use Lapis Dragon as the tuner, and then you'd link off the Heavy Infantry and the Lapis Dragon into your Hulk, and then your Hulk would special the Fishborg Launcher, and you have Neptibus, Hulk, and Fishborg Launcher right there, and you can go through your combo that way. So, you know, there are different lines of play with it, but it still is definitely valuable. Plus, I feel that having multiples is nice, because when you do summon your Alatia, you want to have multiples so that you can continually ditch off of Alatia, as well as your, you know, Archithus, your Croco Dragon. So, last but not least for the Atlanteans, 1 Marksman. Just 1 Marksman, only because battle damage is imperative, and there is still that OTK with Megalo and this, as well as Dragoons, where you tribute if you have this in hand with Neptibus and Dragoons, or Neptibus and Megalo, or however, whatever your hand is comprised of, you can summon Megalo, tribute the Neptibus, bring this back, attack with the Megalo twice with the equip spell, attack with this, effect of this, bring out Dragoons, and then OTK if your opponent has an empty board, if you can do Fatal right there. So that's really nice, but that is it for the Atlantean package, all max rarity, which is beautiful. I think max rarity is amazing in this deck. I think it's certainly one of the best high rarity decks in the game, in my personal opinion. But now we're playing Triple Teus. We're getting into the Mermail component of the deck, which, in my opinion, was at one point before the Deepsea stuff, was probably the most powerful engine in the deck, only because, you know, you obviously make big level 7 monsters and rank 7 monsters that just kill things. But at the same time, the Atlanteans are certainly, without a doubt, the most value-intensive engine in the deck. But so, like I said, Triple Teus, I feel like that is obvious. That's kind of standard at this point. Now, a lot of people are going to question this, and I understand why, because Minstrel kind of devalues this card a bit and kind of takes away some of this card's shine, you know, steals its thunder a bit, but that is still not relevant to me. I like 3 Megalo. I like the ability to OTK. I like the ability to draw 2 Megalos and a Gund and go into Gaios with the equip spell off of that. I think Megalo is still a very valuable card. There are just so many good water monsters you can play, and I feel like Megalo is among the best of them, so why not play 3? Obviously, you could cut 1 Megalo. I don't disagree with that necessarily. I just like not having to search the Megalo off of the Dragoons. You know, I mean, despite the hands where you get a little bit cloggy and draw multiples, again, you know, if you draw the Gund with multiples, you can do that, and you can, you know, go down that line of play, which is really nice. But Megalo, in my opinion, is still one of the best waters in the game. You should play at least 1 or 2. I mean, you should play at least 2 of it, in my personal opinion. But I just still think 3 is very relevant, because that last push for damage is still a thing. And after that, I play 1 Pike, 1 Gund. These are the only small Mermails I play. I was testing Mander, but I didn't like it as much, because Mander is as good as it is at manipulating levels, so you can get into Calamities or get into your Hope Harbinger if you decide to go that route. The card does not contribute to your combos inherently by itself, whereas Pike at least allows you to ditch another water from your hand. So if you draw it into Dragoons, you can trigger the Dragoons. Whereas Mander, it's effectively a Garnet, which is not that great, especially in a deck where you want as many means to get into your resources as possible. So that is it for the Mermail component of the deck. I do think that Mander is relevant. I think it's still a good card, and you could play it. It's not incorrect by any capacity, but you really want this deck to be as consistent as possible and to dig into your deck, and that's something that I feel is valuable with Pike and Teus and things of that nature, whereas Mander is just kind of banishing to make, to affect levels which are not tangible card advantage. So moving forward, we do play the Frog package. Anybody else happy that Toad came back to 3? Not that it's relevant in this deck as much, because the last ban list put it to 2, which this deck only plays 2, but being at 3, it only makes this engine more valuable. Not that it wasn't valuable when Toad was at 2, but obviously 3 is better. Now, the other thing is, you could still, even with Toad at 1, you could still play these to just link climb, which is completely valid, but I just feel that I wouldn't play these if Toad was at 1, because the only resource, the only means that these would actually have to play would be to just link climb, and I feel that these are just way better at being pseudo called by the graves alongside minstrels. So we do play that Frog engine, and then for the last few waters, Moon Glacier, Lapis Dragon, and Fishborg Launcher. These are pretty standard. I mean, Lapis Dragon just performs a lot of Halka Vibrex combos. Fishborg Launcher is obviously like way too good of a tuner not to play. Moon Glacier, I mean, it's the ideal going first combo. Or the ideal going first card you want to summon in your combo. So that is it for the monsters. I don't play any monster-based hand traps in this deck. I'm sure you guys can guess what my hand traps are. So, but we're moving on. So onto the spells. We play 2 Deepsea Aria, not 3. I feel that 3 would be a little bit cloggy, especially concerning the fact that A, you have to banish a water in order to activate it, and B, if you draw multiples, 1 is automatically dead in your hand. So I feel like 2 is relevant. Then I play 2 Maria Greed. Now, if I were playing Mander, I wouldn't cut one of the Megalos. I'd cut one of the Marays and play the Mander, and then put the Calamities in, or the Hope Harbinger, depending upon my line of play. But I feel like I don't want to brick, so playing 2 Maray is just kind of a necessary evil at this point. After that, 1 Abysscale the Mizuchi, because Dark Ruler No More is a card, Super Poly is a card. All those are still good cards that you want to have a way to out, and this just forces your opponent to out it, especially if you if you get the information with the Minstrel, then you can try and take cards out of your opponent's hand and force them to have to play the Dark Ruler No More. But then after that, 1 for 1. Obviously, it's an extra copy of Neptibus. This and Fishborg Launcher is actually a combo. I may consider showing you guys that combo. It's a very niche combo. It's not something that I necessarily recommend doing unless that's your only option and your only means of getting a combo out onto the board. But it's still a functional combo in the sense that it does a similar thing to the Deepsea Diva 1-card combo. So after that, 1 Call by the Grave. That's it for the spell cards, and at least in the main deck. Now for the last 3 cards, they are hand traps. 3 Infinite Impermanence. This card is easily one of the best cards that has come out in the past year or so. The thing about Impermanence is, compared to other hand traps, your other hand traps, while they might be relevant, later on in the duel, or mid or late game, depending upon what deck you're playing against, these negate both monster effects and spell and trap effects in the same column. So, they have dual purpose, whereas, say, a card like Ash is a 1-for-1. You're only negating 1 card, whereas this has the potential, at the very least, to negate 2 if you set it and then flip it onto your opponent. So I think this card is still so much better than Ash. Not to say that Ash is an irrelevant card, because I actually did try to find room for Ash in this deck, but to be honest with you, Impermanence is just so much better. So, and I don't want to clog my hand with hand traps on my opening turns, especially if I'm going second. So that is it for the main deck. Now we're getting into the extra deck. So we're gonna start off with the links. Obvious Apollosa. This card is, it's pretty much mandatory in any combo deck, and even some decks that can just put bodies on the board enough to make it. 1 Borlo Dragon to deal with cards like Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. You know, cards like that really, like, you do have trouble with a turn 1 Dragoon if you don't have the God Hand. Like, if you don't have Teus Dragoons, and even then you need more follow-up, or at least some way to bait the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. You know, otherwise you're just gonna you're gonna lose. There's no way around it. But Borlo Dragon, on the other hand, at least allows you to, if you can manage to get enough bodies onto the board, you can steal their Red Eyes Dark Dragoon and use it against them. I've done that a few times. After that, one Blacklisted Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. Now this card would actually, if I were to decide to play the Calamities, would be the card that would come out, while the Murray in the main deck would come out for the Mander. But I honestly like this card because it's so easy to make this untargetable with the level 7 or higher requirement, because I mean all your Mermails except for Pike and Gund are literally level 7s, and Moulin is a level 7. You know, the synchros that you make are level 7s or level 7 or higher. So, like, there's so many ways to make this card and make it so that it's you know, its condition where a level 7 or higher monster is used for its material. It's so easy to do that. So moving forward, now we have one Coral Anemone, obvious. I mean, bring back a water. One Halqifibrax, obvious tuner combos. One Mermail Bislasha. I actually like the super rare better than the ultra rare. So I mean, I know a lot of people probably think I'm stupid for that, but I just generally I like that more. One Mistar Boy. If I didn't have to play Mistar Boy, I wouldn't, but because of Halqifibrax and Anemone not being Sea Serpent, Fish, or Aqua, you have to find a way to bridge your way into Alacia at the end of your turn, and that is just something that I feel is absolutely necessary. So, I mean, the Mistar Boy it is, and not only that, it does increase your waters by 500 points and reduce fires by 400, so that's the thing. Bujinki Ashima, mostly for the turn, or the 1-card Diva combo, as well as the combo that essentially does the same thing with Heavy Infantry and Neptibus. This card is absolutely mandatory. It's actually even used in the 1-for-1 / Fishborg Launcher combo, so this card is just really good, to be honest. I actually can't wait for the Bujin support, because that was the first competitive deck that I played back in the day. So to actually be able to play Bujins themselves would be really nice, but in this deck it's still really, really good. So that's it for the links. Moving forward into the Xyz monsters, we have one Mermail Biscayos. Making this underneath the Alacia, or even underneath the Mistar Boy, is really ridiculous. This alongside this with the equip spell with Apollosa is so difficult to break. So after that, one Abyss Dweller. I mean, obvious standard, triggers Dragoons, while also benefiting you by, you know, making it so your opponent can't activate Grave effects. One Bahamut Shark. I wanted to play 2 of this, but to be honest with you, it's really not necessary to play 2 of it. I mean, at that point, it's just a win more card from there. After that, to follow up, 2 Toads, 1 Toad for the Bahamut Shark, 1 Toad for the Frog Engine. Not only that, you can loop the Toads. That's kind of something that can happen. It comes up once in a while. And then that's it for the Xyz monsters. And then last but not least, for the extra deck, we have 2 Synchros in the forms of Ravenous, Crocodile, Archithus. This card, if I were playing Calamities, this card would be absolutely relevant, because say, for example, you can't manage to get to your Gund, or you can't manage to, you know, you can only make one of your Mermails level 9, but you have Moulin and Fishborg Launcher that can both be on the field at the same time. You synchro them into this, draw a card, and then overlay the Mermail you made into the level 9 and this into your Calamities. So it gives you another route of access into that card. I just don't think Calamities is worth playing Garnet like Mander. Personally, that's just me. You know, I'd rather have my deck be consistent and not be as explosive, rather than being explosive and bricking once in a while. Bricking even harder than it normally does. So from there, last synchro is one Adamantipator Risen Dragtite. It is a water negate that you can make after your Coral Anemone has used its effect. So that is something that is absolutely relevant. Plus, putting a 3k body never hurts. So yeah, that is it for my Mermail deck, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I really appreciate the views you guys give us. I know it's been like over, you know, any reasonable amount of time in terms of us getting content up. I promise we will work on that now that the cold season is absolutely and utterly here. Like, it is freezing, guys. It is, even in my apartment, it's cold, and I, you know, normally I have central air, and that it's just freezing. But you know, beyond all that, again, I appreciate the views you guys give us. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Eric here with Team Eccentric. Rate and subscribe, leave your comments and ideas in the comment section below, and don't hesitate to give us respectful suggestions on content you want to see. Eric on behalf of the team saying take care, and Team Eccentric out.